Hi everyone, so I wanted to help you make annotations in the Google Doc that I uploaded for you. So a few things real quick. If you notice, and I'm just going to be using like a random period of period 5, if you notice, you go over to the week that we are in, and this is what I posted for you. I went ahead, and if you want to do it the long way, you just scroll all the way down, and you go to the assignment, the Text Me assignment. And when you open it up, just so you know, so that you can see how this was done for you, when you open it up, each student gets a copy. You can find the instructions here where you will be finding and unpacking the author's meaning and the purpose of 7 to 10 words per signpost, and that goes above what we already did. And it can be within the same paragraphs that we were looking at. I really tried to do like as little as possible with you, so that way I don't take all of the opportunities for you to find this on your own and for you to be able to do your homework. When you find the signpost, please remember to read the sentence that came before, with, and after the signpost so that you can understand what's happening in any given topic. And then you can also see that attached, when class was over, I went ahead and I attached the screenshots. I can't really share a document with you that already has annotations on it, because the only way that you can see the annotation is if you have rights to edit it, and if everybody has rights to edit it, then the annotations are at risk of being deleted or something like that by mistake. And I just want to make sure that I showed you what we did today in class. So as a student, you would go over to classwork. Now that you understand that your annotation, isn't going to mess anything up, you would go over to classwork. You would go to text and assignment for willing to be disturbed, and then you want to view the assignment. And you can see that there's already a Google document that has been created for me. And of course I have the annotations here of what we did together in class. So I want to open up that Google Doc. And it is blank, like it is the template that I gave you. So you want to stop, ask, and answer for context. You want to read the before sentence of the signpost, the sentence that has a signpost, and the sentence that came after the signpost, so that you can understand the context. And let's say that we are doing contrast and contradiction. We're going to put that in red. And I go ahead and I look through this. Where can I find a contrast and contradiction? And I'm like, oh look, but. And because I'm looking for contrast and contradiction, I want to check the color, and I want to make it red. There it is. I want to make it red. Now the moment that I highlight something, you can also see that a little plus sign comes up. So I want to add a comment. And I'm going to say, okay, well, I need to read the sentence that came before. And it's like, all right. This isn't easy. I'm accustomed to sitting there, nodding my head to those same things I agree with. But when I notice what surprises me, I'm able to see my own views more clearly, including my beliefs and assumptions. And then, the paragraph ends there. You can also read the paragraph that comes in the sentence that comes after, if you like, if you feel like it's relevant. Noticing what surprises and disturbs me has been a very useful way to see invisible beliefs. So what did it trigger me to ask? And it asked me, well, I have to ask myself, what is the difference and why does it matter? This one word, prompted me to stop, to read the sentence that came before, to read the sentence within the signpost, and to read the sentence that came after. And I come to the conclusion that, I want to acknowledge, people have to acknowledge or realize that and then this is the part when we are together that I start asking questions, I start prompting you. I definitely don't want to give away too much, but, I go ahead and I write down my note, comment, okay? Let's see for word gap, a word that is in need of being unpacked. And I go through, and I'm like, I know most of these words. let me see what I can find that needs unpacking. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I'm actually going to do superficial. Superficial is a word gap. I'm going to put it in green, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a comment. Superficial sounds a lot like artificial, and I know that artificial means man-made or fake. And then I'm like, wait, let me read what came before and after it. So it says, if our solutions don't work as well as we want them to, if our explanations of why something happened don't feel sufficient, it's time we begin asking others about what they see and think. When so many interpretations are available, I can't understand why we would be satisfied with superficial conversations where we pretend to agree with one another. And I'm like, wait a second. The thing that is man-made, the thing that is fake, is the conversations. And it's not just that the conversations are man-made or fake. I want to make sure that I dig deeper. I want to make sure that I'm not just out here defining words. That's not helpful. Why is it that the author decided to use that particular word? And when you stop and you unpack that word, there has to be a deeper meaning to what the author is saying using these sentences. So it's almost as if the author is implying, why would we be satisfied with superficial conversations where we pretend to agree with each other? And when the author is saying, we feel like things aren't sufficient, like our explanations aren't sufficient. And it's like, wait, we have wasted time. If we engage in meaningless conversations with one another, we are wasting time when we could be working together to find solutions. Comment. And I want to do the same thing for number and statistics. Remember that number and statistics can also be an amount. So I'm like, oh, look, most or many. So I want to do that. Many years. Many will be in blue. Add a comment. We haven't been rewarded for being confused or for asking more questions rather than giving quick answers. We've also spent many years listening to others, mainly to determine whether we agree with them or not. We don't have time or interest to sit and listen to those who think differently than we do. And so a lot of students think that we've spent many years listening, it's like, oh, they spent a lot of time listening to other people. But when you actually read it and reread it, you realize that the author is saying that we have wasted our time not listening to each other and learning from one another, unless we already agree with them. We are not growing because we aren't being challenged. That's what the author is saying there. Again, you don't just want to rewrite in your annotation what it says in the sentence. You want to ask yourself, what is the author saying? Because you've stopped for a moment. You found a signpost, you have stopped for a moment, and you're unpacking it. What is the author saying that is implied here? What is the author saying that goes beyond the literal words that are here? You want to read between the sentences and go to the meaning, to the explanation. Quoted words, we did that in class. Extreme or absolute language is in purple. Okay, so I found the word, let me think. Right here, I found the word exact or exactly. I want to put it in purple. I want to add, and another way that you can add a comment is by right-clicking, comment. Okay, so you want to read the sentence that came before. Because we live in different parts of a complexity and because no two people are physically identical, we each experience life differently. It's impossible for any two people to ever see things exactly the same. You can test this out for yourself. Take any event that you shared with, and then, obviously you want to stop reading because it's only the sentence that came before and after. But the word exact It's impossible for any two people to ever see things exactly the same. What is the author saying here? And the author, like, what are these sentences when you read and reread them, showing us, the readers? And you come to realize that the author is saying that it is impossible, but you don't want to use that because it's right here. So because of the different lived experiences and variety of identities that people hold, no two people can approach the same problem in the same way. We all have different backgrounds and ideas and should use that to our advantage. Comment. Now let's say, I want to make sure that I follow the homework. I am unpacking 7 minimum to 10 maximum words per signpost. Of course, it's not the quoted words because we already did that. And then you can find the annotations that we did in class attached. So let's say that I'm done. Let's say that I did this process, 4 times. Well, there are actually 4 word gaps. But let's say that I did it 6 more times. I did contrast and contradiction a total of 7 times. Word gap a total of 7 times. Number and stats, so let's say 10 times. And extreme or absolute language a total of 8 times, whatever. At least 7, no more than 10. And I'm ready to turn it in. It's like, are you sure you want to turn in your work? And I say yes. And then I'm good. When I go to period 5, I had an assignment and it's like, woohoo, no work done. I go to classwork and this is already faded out. So I hope that this is helpful for you and that you have learned how to annotate on a Google Doc. And I will see you over the next few days. Have a good night.